Hello my beautiful mythical creatures, Ace here, he, she, back at you with another podfic. Today we're doing Kaijin, chapter 14, The Pit of Despair. I don't know if you can hear that, but there is a lawnmower going and it's annoying. Chapter 14, Pit of Despair. Welcome to the pit. Trigger warnings for this chapter is blood, major injuries, scars, death, imprisonment, abuse, forced combat, non-consensual body modification, vomiting, sexually suggestive phrases, and touching. More trigger warnings, plus these ones will be down in the description. And more trigger warnings that I can think of. The fan fiction, the link to it will be in the description as well, and please give kudos to the author because this author is awesome. Now on to the chapter. Death, 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 death. I think that was 4 times. The crowd chanted for bloodshed as animals stood over the beaten and bloody form of Carnivore, his opponent for the night. A huge man with pointy, yellowed teeth that didn't fit in his mouth properly. The equally long and thick claws made Animal think it was a bear quirk. In the end, he didn't really care. Death, death, death! Carnivore belonged to one of Obanaqua's VIPs, a proud oil tycoon that had just returned to Japan and instantly scoffed at the news of Animal's brutal record. He claimed that his bodyguard could pound the shapeshifter into the ground any day. Aqua had bet him a fortune and a favor that he couldn't. Death! Death! Carnivore had put up a good fight, but bulky fighters are slow fighters, and Animal was anything but slow. He had zipped around the arena, kicking and slashing every part of the brunette's body he could reach until Carnivore collapsed. Where he wasn't bleeding from oozing cuts, his skin was black and blue. His arm and several fingers were broken, and he wheezed from a punctured lung. Surprisingly, he could still see despite his shredded face, his eyes begging his opponent for mercy. Death! A gong sounded like a call to prayer, but there was no good answer. Animal summoned long, sharp limbs and poised one over the man's chest. His eyes widened and he tried to crawl away. Animal pinned his pant leg down. He was just going to make this harder for the both of them. Please, he gasped. Please spare me. It was a quick death, pierced through his heart. It was the only mercy Animal had power to give. The gong sounded again and the crowd screamed. They cheered for the undefeated champion of the pit. A spotlight shone down on him, a god of blood embattled, adorned in scars, with a body honed into a weapon, a testament to his victories, etched on his back in black ink. The tally marks numbered 42. What was one more? After the fight, Animal was escorted back to his cage, a 2 meter by 2 meter metal box that this shapeshifter could barely crouch in. He was in the lounge, a luxury room where Okana hosted his VIPs. Following each fight, he liked to show off his prize warrior by placing him in the middle of the room for his guests to gawk at. Tenshiro, who had become his handler, kicked the cage for Animal's attention. He snarled at the man. Be a good boy, Animal, he taunted. Or do I have to remind you what happens when you act out in front of the VIPs again? He held up his slick silver remote. Animal glared, a rumble building in his chest. The collar he wore matched the remote, smooth, shiny metal with a ring on each side in the back. It was designed specifically for him. With the push of a button, Opaka, or Tanshiro, could switch the signal from the quirk suppressants on or off, or they could deliver a powerful shock. Currently, Animal could feel an uncomfortable tingle, indicating the quirk suppressant was active. A couple of sharply dressed men with their dates hanging on their arms entered and ordered drinks from the bar. Tenshiro pocketed the remote and took his post not far away to wait for his boss. Opaka soon arrived with a short middle-aged man in a tuxedo. The man did not look happy. Completely unfair. Carnivore was a valuable asset. How dare you kill him? He yelled. Mr. Mono, Opaka said calmly. You were warned about Animal's undefeated status, and you know the rules of the pit. The mob decides the fate of the fallen, not me. The man, Carnivore's master, stood there fuming as Opaka was handed his usual drink by one of the barmaids. The rest of the guests watched the exchange with amusement. Carnivore could defeat any man pitted against him. That was not a man. You fed him to a beast. Opaka laughed. He's quite magnificent, isn't he? The fat man said, completely unfazed by Mr. Obano's anger. Animal is a predator, and, like any predator, his instincts is to eliminate all challengers. The pit is his territory. The moment Carnivore stepped into the arena, he became prey and stood no chance. Isn't that right, Animal? The shapeshifter snarled and banged his hands on the bars, making the cage rattle. Whenever the fat man's attention turned to him, his instincts went wild. Much like with Carnivore, during the fight, Animal identified Opaka as a rival. In human terms, the pit was Opaka's territory, but the cryptid's animalistic side knew he was stronger than the pit master and howled out a challenge the man couldn't even understand. Mr. Obano jumped at the noise, his eyes widened, only just now realizing Animal was in the room. Several people laughed at this display. Cruelty mocking the feral boy only made him growl louder. Opaka motioned for Tenshiro, who handed his boss the remote. You insulted my champion and let your pride push you into making a bet you could not win. You doomed Carnival yourself. At least Animal granted him a clean death. He could have done so much worse. Worse? The man spluttered, his face turned red. How could it have possibly been worse? That monster brutalized him before stabbing him in the heart. If I had ordered it, Obakia explained, Carnival could have died a slow, painful death, pumped full of a lethal toxic. a lethal cocktail of venom. Mr. Obenon stared at the master of the pit in complete shock. Venom? The man stuttered. Obika grinned and hit a button on the remote. Animal felt the quirk suppressants disappear. I believe a demonstration of how he defeated Goliath is in order, Obakia announced. Animal knew what Obakia wanted. Goliath was a giant of a man, the largest he had fought yet, with a quirk that made their skin act like a non-mutant fluid. The harder Animal hit, the less damage he did. As the fight dragged on, the idiot got cocky, and he let his opponent get too close. One bite, and it was all over. Animal's legs fused into a long tail curved in black and green scales. The tip quivered, filling the room with a warning rattle. He hissed with open jaws, allowing long pointed fangs to unfurl from the roof of his mouth. What you are seeing is a combination of rattlesnake and in-island tapan, both lethal of their own but exquisitely deadly together. Mr. Obenon was pale, his mouth hung open as he gazed upon a real-life naga curled inside a small cage. Where on earth did you find this creature? He asked. Obika chuckled. I made a deal with the devil and received a demon straight from hell. Animal laid on his bed inside his cell. It was the same room he woke up in months before, but now there was a lumpy mattress against the wall, a low table for meals, a toilet and sink combo like you find in prisons was in the corner. He had everything he needed, so there was no reason for Animal to leave the cold, dim room between fights. Most of the time, Animal would be sleeping or working out, maybe even practicing his quirk if they allowed it. But on nights after a fight, all he could do was lay there and blankly stare. He tried to think of happier times to fill the hollow space in his chest that grew bigger and darker each time he stepped into the arena. His fingers repeatedly brushed over the blue bracelet on his wrist, one of the few treasures he had left from his old life. After his first fight, Animal had been turned over to Artifice. The man had gone through his abilities one by one and forced him to reveal what they did, often encouraged the shapeshifter with a cattle prod. Hours later, Animal was dozing against the wall, covered in electrical burns, and tried to ignore the weight of the collar and chain, when Artifice entered with Obakia and Tanshuru. It's quite remarkable, the brown-haired man said. His quirk isolates useful abilities from any animal DNA when that touches his skin. He currently has access to 13 and can manifest them all at the same time. Amazing, the fat man exclaimed. He's a fully customizable fighter. Artificer gestured to the table where he had laid out all of Animal's jewelry. He already has quite a decent arsenal, but a few can be improved on. He picked up the cap for a bracelet. Animal straightened up and suddenly alert. A possessive growl caught in his throat, as the only thing he had left of Queenie in the colony was handed to the quirk analysis. This is the fur of a normal house cat. I suggest we switch it with something stronger. A tiger, perhaps? Animal's heart quickly spiked. They wanted to get rid of the bracelet? He couldn't let them. The cryptid yowled angrily and lunged as far as he could. The chains rattled and the collar pulled at his throat. He gashed his teeth and clawed at the air, but they were too far for him to grab. The three men just watched him curiously. He's quite attached to this one, the artificer explained. Obakia took the bracelet from him and studied it. The earliest stories of Kaijin said he traveled with a group of alley cats. He turned to Animal and held the bracelet out, so his straining fingers were merely centimeters from touching it. This is one of your oldest abilities, isn't it, Mama Cat's fur? Animal hissed and lunged again, hoping for a tiny bit of extra reach. He felt a bead of blood roll down his neck. Obakia looked pleased at this boy's desperation. A mocking smile spread across his face. Tenshiro, he called, extending the bracelet to the man. I don't think we will need this anymore. The man gleefully took it and pulled out a lighter. Animal redoubled his efforts. He was straining himself as he fought against the chains, reaching back to tug at it, hoping he could rip it from the wall. The fur didn't disappear in a flash of flames. It slowly smothered, disappearing bit by bit as Animal sunk further and further into despair until the only thing he had of Queenie was gone. And he was crouching in a ball with tears streaming down his face. You are Animal, Obakia declared. From now on until the day you lay dead in the dirt, you belong to me. Forget everything else. Animal continued to crouch on the floor, elbows on his knees, and his face pressed to his forearms, and his hands tangled at black curls. The three men moved on to discuss his quirk. He felt like he was phasing in and out of reality. One minute he was seeing and feeling nothing, the next he was listening to Artificer suggest switching goat to bull because facing forward horns were better for gouging. We also need a new way for him to carry his abilities. Bracelets are reliable, and feathers can be secured with braids, but necklaces are just asking to be ripped off. Do you have a suggestion? Artificer handed a notepad to his boss. The fat man studied it for a moment. A pleased, toothy smile made Animal shiver slowly split his pudgy face. Perfect. Animal pulled himself from the memory. He had curled into a ball. His arms lay on a thin pillow close to his face. He could see the citrulline blue. He missed Dobby, he missed Amy, he missed Night Jumper and Eraserhead and all of the Mendigal Gully kids. Animal began to cry. Memories of happiness and belonging feel like a punch to his lungs. He made a choke sob. I remember trying to pounce on Night Jumper only to catch air when the hero melted into shadows with a laugh. Slurping jelly pouches on the roof with a racer. Talking about cats and heroes and how proud he was of his kids despite the headaches. Watching cheesy romance and eating popcorn with Amy while painting each other's nails. Sleeping curled against Dobby's warmth in those early days together when winter was the biggest thing they had to worry about. Sitting on the floor in the middle of the bunk room reading a story when one kid's nightmare triggered an avalanche of bad memories. Playing heroes and villains in a sunny forest with a loud blonde kid that made him feel like anything was possible. Come on, Zuku! We have to catch the bad guys and be the greatest heroes ever! Animal gasped like it was drowning and pressed his face into his pillow. It had been a long time since he allowed himself to think about Kaijin. The memories were too painful and too close, but his childhood friend was always there in the back of his mind. He was the voice Animal heard when he needed one more push, when everything felt like too much and he would be crushed under the pressure. Did Kaijin still remember him? Maybe occasionally thinking fleeting about the useless, worthless kid that once followed him around. Was he still dreaming of being a hero? You'd be a wonderful hero, Kaijin, Animal thought, imagining the words floating off into the universe where they might find their way to his best friend. But I don't think even you would be able to save a villain like me. Now, I'm going to be honest, that is not the end of chapter 14, but I feel like this is a bit long, so I'm actually going to split this up into 2 parts. But also, just Izuku, baby! Yeah, so that is the end of this one. Part 2 will be next. I am going to read this so you know what's coming up. Emma woke a little over a week later with a feeling of dread pushing down on him. Tonight was another fight night. So yeah, until next time, my beautiful mythical creatures, remember to stay hydrated and eat donuts. And do be cautious of the weather.